AAU champion, a Golden Gloves champion, and then he turned professional. And as a pro, he has won 28 fights without a loss, 26 of them coming by knockout. What's important is that Thomas Hearns is one fight away from winning the welterweight championship, and he is getting ready for his duel against Pipino Cueves for the WBA welterweight championship, which will be held next Saturday night at Detroit's Joe Louis. A man that has really pumped new life into boxing in Detroit. The days of Joe Louis, Sugar Ray Robinson, the Joe Louis Arena now, and the man who's going to step into that arena next week, of course, is Thomas Hearns. You really feel comfortable in this city, don't you?
Oh, yes, definitely, Dick. Detroit is make me feel very comfortable. My fans here in Detroit, they support me really well, and hey, they give me all the confidence in the world that I really need.
Yours is a terrific story because you're the inner city story, and you've made something of yourself, but you've gone a step beyond that. You've kind of brought life back to the city in a sport that has been dormant for such a long time.
Yes, Dick, it hasn't been easy doing these things. I did put a lot of work into it. I definitely have worked very hard in trying to do something for myself as well as for the city of Detroit. It definitely took me a lot of time to develop the things that I have developed.
You say it hasn't been easy. What was the biggest stumbling block?
Well, my biggest thing is getting the experience. Once I got the experience and got used to being around a lot of people, you know, it got to be a little bit more easier for me. But at first it was very hectic. I had a lot of problems at first.
All right, let's go back and talk about some of your fights. Now, you were winning and you turned professional and you were wiping people up kind of early. I think perhaps the first fight of significance was against the Canadian Clyde Gray.
Yes, Clyde Gray was a very good fight, very unusual fight. He fought me at a style that no other fighter had fought me. He gave me a lot of problems. He made it very difficult for me to hit him.
But you hit him nonetheless.
Yes, you know, I just had to go through the fight and figure out a way of getting to Clyde. And it took me quite some time to figure out a way to get to him.
The Bruce Curry fight. Now, you really had your back against the wall because if that cut had opened up on your eye again, that would have been it. So you really had to come in and get him fast.
Yes, Dick. Right then, I was just really, at that particular time, I was still basically trying to feel Bruce out, trying to find out some of his weak spots. And at the particular time, I suffered a butt. And then I had to go. It was just, I had to go all the way out or either suffer a loss, in which I couldn't afford that right then. I couldn't afford the loss on my record. So I had to go out and do the best I could.
Thomas, let's talk about Pipino Cueves. And you have fought some people and you've wiped them out and knocked them out on an average of less than 4 rounds. But you're fighting a man who has shown he can take punishment and wants to take punishment and comes right at you.
Well, Dick, he has shown that he can take some punishment, but you have to look at it. I have never seen Pipino in the ring with a guy with my punching ability, and that will always be there and will give him one hell of a fight that's not scared of him. I think it will be a big difference, a lot of difference in this fight with Pipino and me. I think Pipino will give me a lot more respect. I am demanding respect from Pipino, and I'm going to do all I possibly can to get it.
Last question. You're the challenger, he's the champion, yet he is coming to Detroit and is in Detroit to fight you. That says something for his courage, that he's coming to the city that you like to fight in.
Well, I'm not down in his courage or nothing like that. I think the man have an awful lot of courage to come here. For all the cities come right here in the city of Detroit. He got to have a lot of courage in himself, a lot of confidence in himself. And I think this will be his last city that he will travel to fight somebody else for a championship.
Thomas, you've got the fans behind you. You're undefeated. Good luck in your fight.
Thank you, Dick.
Thomas Hearns, 28-0 with 26 knockouts. The Motor City Cobra finally getting his chance. And of course, behind me is the WBA welterweight champion, Jose Pipino Cueves, who is battering the speed bag as he gets set for his title defense against Thomas Hearns next week. Cueves, as you know, the youngest ever to win the welterweight championship. He was 18 when he defeated Angel Espada back in July of 1976. He has successfully defended his title 11 times, 10 of those by knockout. And we are going to see him sparring, and we are going to talk to him as he gets set for this most important fight. And we'll be back with that here in Detroit after this word from your local station. back in Detroit, and you are looking at the WBA welterweight champion on the left, Jose Pipino Cueves, as he gets set for his challenge coming up next week against Thomas Hearns in what should be a tremendous war in the welterweight division. Pipino Cueves going through a sparring session right now at Cobo Hall, and he's got some of his supporters with their T-shirts watching and cheering every time he does something. Many boxing observers feel Cueves is the hardest puncher of all the talented welterweights. The victim here, Scott Clark, January of last year in Los Angeles, as Cueves finished him off in the second round. It bothers Cueves and his people that he has not been the center of attention in this talent-rich division, despite having held the WBA version of the title for 4 years. The talk has been mostly Wilfred Benitez, then Sugar Ray Leonard, now Roberto Duran. Of course, Cueves has received less exposure than the others, which explains some of his obscure status. But if that has been the case, that will all change for the Mexican who will be the underdog against Hearns next week. He will fight in that engulfing style of his, looking to land the left hook. His chore won't be as easy as it was against Scott Clark here. Hearns can keep him away with that sharp jab and advantage in reach and throw bombs of his own. Cueves is similar to Duran in style and perhaps smooth. This was Cueves' last title defense, Houston, Texas, before a partisan crowd this past spring. And this was the 5th round knockout over South African Harold Volbrecht, then ended his hopes. Cueves, who keeps a stone-faced image, is strong and in marvelous shape. He's still a mystery man, even though he's been champion for 4 years. With all but one of his defeats occurring early in his pro career, Pipino Cueves seems to be at a prime stage. No question he realizes the significance of the upcoming battle against Hearns, but questions linger concerning his chances. The workout is over. I'm here with Pipino Cueves and Rafael Mendoza, the interpreter. First question. He's fighting in Detroit, right in Thomas Hearns' hometown. He's fighting a taller fighter with a good reach. Those are 2 problems. Does he agree?
Dice el señor que estás peleando en Detroit, que estás peleando contra Tommy Hearns, que tiene un gran alcance, y que si tú piensas que puedes resolver esos 2 problemas.
Claro que sí.
¿Cómo piensas resolverlo?
Pues pelearle adentro, voy a buscar un caos del primer round. Yo vengo a ganar.
¿Por qué viniste a Detroit?
Pues porque todas mis peleas de campeonato mundial han sido fuera de México. Solamente una la hice ahí.
He says that he can solve 2 problems because he came here to win. He is ready to win. He will fight in order to win, and the reach of Hearns will be no problem. He came here to Detroit because he fights anybody, any place, if they offer him the right money.
His fighting style, reminiscent of Duran, just comes on, fights the same way against everyone, no matter the opponent.
Dice el señor que tu estilo es parecido al de Durán, de gran presión, constantemente, que peleas igual sobre todo desde la primera campanada. ¿Es así?
Siempre mi estilo ha sido ese.
¿Y piensas cambiar en esta ocasión?
Pues vamos a ver allá arriba.
He says, yes, always, that's my style, and I will do the pressure all the time since the beginning.
In other words, Pipino Cueves invites his opponent to hit him. He wants to prove he can take a punch.
Dice que tú eres capaz de aceptar que tu oponente te pegue con tal de que tú darle a él.
Pues así es mi estilo, tengo que ir a buscar knockouts, hay que arriesgar algo.
He says that that's my style, I must take that risk, I must take that chance in order to lick them by my knockout.
Thank you, Rafael Mendoza. Thank you, Pipino Cueves. Good luck next week. He's a man of few words, whether it be English or Spanish. He does his talking in the ring.